Black Matter.
In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
Yo, what's the deal, Panther fans? It's your boy, the Professor, a.k.a. Tony Dunn. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast. We're the longest-running Panthers podcast on the internets, the interwebs, or anywhere you get podcasts at. You can get our podcast everywhere you get a podcast at, like Google's. I like to talk like Bobby Bottle service now, like Google's. Or if you're interested in downloading our podcast from servers of Apple, you can do that. And hey, look, we're on YouTube. Smash the thumbs up button and hang out with Panther fans talking about Panthers news from the fan perspective. If I could get y'all's cameras up, it would be nice. That would be nice. How you guys doing today? And introduce yourself while I get your cameras right.
Doing fantastic. We're obviously coming off of a pretty statement win, if you will, and statement is going to be in quotations. When we have an opponent that is almost as inconsistent as we are with the Vikings. So a lot to talk about, a lot to look forward to, but all in all, we're going to be missing the one and only Cody Lashley tonight.
I don't even see your camera, homie. How about that?
Mine?
Yeah.
Do you see mine?
I see yours, Greg.
Okay, yeah. Well, hey, what's up? Back this week, and like CK said, we don't have Cody this week, so it's definitely going to have a little less fire to it because Cody always brings that fire, but I'll represent a little bit for him and talk about everybody here in the chat room that's ready to talk about Panthers football. Joey Rilano, Trill One, 10 Tizzy, Joey the Blind Panther. We got the chat room full, so I'm not going to steal Cody's tagline because I can't
ain't nothing to do it but to do it.
That's right. But let's talk some Panthers football.
Let's go, baby.
Yeah.
All right. It's the Thanksgiving episode, Thanksgiving special.
Yeah.
Where first Cody is visiting family out of state, so he's on the road today, and you never know when, these holiday weekends, how they're going to pan out for all of us. So I hope that everybody has their, safe travels or safe family things, whatever. All right. Carolina Panthers win. We're going to be talking a little bit about this game that we won against the Lions and a little bit about this Vikings game. Mostly calls tonight. Not a ton of news to talk about. Other than the usual suspects. So smash the thumbs up button. Follow me on Twitter at @cat_chronicles. And let's go ahead and get into it. The Panthers were rocking and rolling on Sunday with a 20-0 beatdown of the Detroit Lions. Only the second shutout of the NFL season. And for any team, so that's a noteworthy for a Panthers team that has struggled, and they also did it in the absence of having their starting quarterback Teddy Bridgewater, who was out. He's been rehabbing a minor knee injury, minor MCL sprain he suffered the week before. It was down to the wire, Matt Rule said, and he said it was the toughest decision in his 8-year career as a head coach on game day, but they decided he was not ready to go and ran with P.J. Walker. And P.J. Walker did an admirable job outside of 2 interceptions in the red zone. So, guys, looking back, the Panthers, it's kind of a tough season for me to – I don't know. What are we cheering for, I guess? And I'm not saying we shouldn't be cheering. Obviously, we're cheering for the Carolina Panthers.
But I get what you're saying. It's hard to pinpoint what is.
We're at that teeter point,
Yeah.
What's the season going to be? Oh, real quick, first off, toughest decision? Seriously, that's your toughest decision of your football career?
Why
Wow, okay.
not? Why? They're not telling a guy
To
he can't
start
start
Teddy
when
Bridgewater or PJ Walker in a 3-7 season is your
I mean,
toughest decision of your
yeah,
of your
yeah, that
of your
is.
career.
well,
Like,
he
come
said
on.
that
Okay,
Teddy.
okay.
I
Hey,
will agree with that part. Like it is the third. Like we're not obviously in the thick of a playoff race. Toughest decision might be a bit of an overstatement.
hyperbolic. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but
Go ahead.
good.
There you go.
Yeah, you did.
Well, Tony, you were asking about what we're going to what this season's about, what we're kind of pulling
Cheering for. Yeah.
I don't know, man. I really don't know because I want the Panthers to win. I really do. Last week was so exciting. It felt so good. It felt so good to watch that game, see the balls thrown, see the score 20-0. Like, great. But I know that the more we do that, the more we're playing into exactly what I predicted was going to happen this season, and it's just going to work out bad for us in the end, I feel. You know? So I just don't know what to pull for because I don't want to pull for losing. I don't want to pull for tanking. But I feel like we're past that point of where tanking really matters, because if you're going to tank, you're going to tank for a top 2 or 3 pick, I feel. I think we're out of that
well,
race
we're not
right now.
tanking. I mean, it's clear is that we're trying to win all these games that we've been in, and I think it's been an exciting season. Like, the games have been entertaining. You know, we've been in all of them except for the Tampa game. And we were even in that for a half. You know, like we were in that game for a half, and I thought, I mean, if you would have asked me at the beginning of the season if I would have felt like this, you know, CK, you asked, I don't know when it was, but we split a season ticket kind of last year where we went to 4 games, and that last game we went to was a tough one to get amped for. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like I mean, it's the drive, it's the ride, it's the money, it's all of this. And then the question is what we're going to do that this year? And this was pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID. Yeah.
And we didn't know how it would be, if we would be excited enough, I guess, to spend the money and the time and the sacrifice away from your wives and family that you have to pay in other ways when you get back or before you leave. So it's been more exciting than I expected, though, right? The Panthers have won 4 games. There's still some like football to be played, and I think right now, I mean, I just don't know what players I'm cheering for to develop, like where I want the source of strength. And I think it's just going to have to, hopefully we get maybe a big thrust on defense in the back end of this season, because I think that's where I want it to be. Like, so I think that's what I want to cheer for.
Let's see, what is it right now? We got 6 games left. So if we win all 6 games, we have
5 games.
5 games left. So if we finish 9-7, you're going to be happy?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd be happier than finishing 4-12.
Well, no, and I get that based on a standpoint of saying, well, we finished 9-7, at least you didn't have a losing record, this and that. But isn't that? It just feels like it's the same spot we've been in, and I don't see how a 9-7 season helps us in the future, which is why it's so hard to pull for at this point us winning. You know, I don't like
to look at it like that.
9-7 could win the NFC East, but it's not going to get to the playoffs anywhere else. So,
but we could say this much is that one of the playoff teams that went to the and a lot of teams would probably be able to point out our 2014 season and say this same thing, but we would have a better record than a playoff team, you know, which would be anybody from the NFC East. So, by the way,
leading that division right now if we were in it. So.
By the way, that division is such a dumpster fire. They could go to the playoffs with the worst record in NFL history.
Yeah, easy
to make it to a playoff.
Mm-hmm. CK, leave and come back so we can get your beautiful face on camera.
Is it not?
I don't see him. It's not.
Do you have Greg pinned? Do you have Greg pinned?
Maybe I have myself pinned.
I was saying, I see CK.
I don't know.
That's why
I don't see
commenting on his
over the screen. And what's the pin look like? There should be a little pin that hovers over.
There we go. I got your beautiful face now.
There you go.
Panthers got FSU says 9-7 gets you a wild card. I don't think it does the NFC this year.
Well, now it is the Buccaneers are falling apart.
Not 9-7 with the division. Well, I guess the division record doesn't really matter with the wild
And
card,
didn't they add? And they added an extra wild card too.
Right. Yeah. So there's 3 wild card slots, but I still don't think 9. And here's the thing: just say we go 9-7. Do you really feel like we deserve to be in the playoffs? I mean, it'd be great, and I'll take it as a playoff berth.
Aren't you an NBA fan? Aren't you an NBA fan?
Very much so, yeah.
Doesn't everybody get in the playoffs there? Do you get mad then?
No, there's only 12 teams. I mean, there's
only like
8 teams in the NFL. Now there's not 10 teams in the NFL. There's 12 teams in the NBA. So
I just feel like they have more. It's like a longer playoff. I would be happy. I think there's one way to
playoff. Yeah.
The way I'd like to think about it with the Panthers, and we could be thankful for this, is I can be thankful that the team seems to be ascending.
Yeah.
Right. And that's where I want. That's why I think finishing 9-7. So I don't like the reason I don't like the talk about in some ways, or don't agree with the description of 9-7 doesn't get us anything. Yeah, I mean, it gets us closer to 10 wins next year, 11 wins the following year. I guess the question is, in some ways, does 9-7 to you, do you feel like you're at the summit, right? Or are you climbing towards the summit next year? And I don't feel like with the personnel that we have that we're going to regress easily. Right. Yeah. I mean, I think we could improve easily. So I think the more experience these players get, the more taste of success they get, the more confidence that the coaching staff gets in their abilities and what they're trying to preach to this team. I think that's a great for the team and for, I just think that some ways there's other ways to build and improve than being horrid. In fact, I would go back and look at all the teams that were horrid and see how many of them actually got better.
Yeah. Okay. So here's where I stand. I give, if we finish even 8-8, not 9-7 or 8-8, even maybe 7-9. Okay. It's not the spot that I want to be in because it's not the best spot for the future of the team, I don't feel. However, I will give credit where it's due to a player, to somebody that I haven't so far this year that I don't like, is Matt Rule, because finishing 7-9, 8-8, 9-7 with the team you have, with the complete rebuild, with the no preseason, with the new staff, that is impressive. And I'll give him credit for that. So I'm not the kind of person who's not going to do that, but it's not where I want to be. Because I just feel like you can't.
I mean, I don't want to be middle-aged with 3 kids and in a middle-paying job either. But guess what? That's where I'm at.
Right, exactly. So that's the thing. I just have to accept it if we are, of course. It's just in my mind not where I want to be. But once again, if we get there, I got to give props to the coaching staff and everybody that brought this in, because that's an impressive thing. That's 5 more wins than we got last year with a complete almost rebuild from last year. So,
and let me qualify, actually, there's 2 ways of looking at the cup, right? Half full, half empty. So in other ways, I get to do what I love to do, which is just nerd out and teach history and read and grade papers and stuff like that's not bad. I have 3 beautiful children. So while I say I don't want to be middle-aged, I guess it's just getting older. That's the part that none of us love. But we sometimes are. Since this is a Thanksgiving episode, what are we grateful for with this season? Maybe we can ask it that way. What are we grateful for?
I like that approach.
And I think there is a lot to be grateful for when it comes to what we were expecting. I mean, it could have been we couldn't, imagine how hard it would have been to do this podcast if nothing went well.
That's true.
Maybe it'd be easier because all you would do is talk shit.
If we were Browns fans, if we were a Browns podcast for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Imagine how hard it is to be a Browns podcaster in the last 10 years. It's got to suck. I don't know, man. Let's see. Thankful for? What am I pinned?
This is bullcrap.
What's up?
Nothing. Sorry.
What am I thankful for? Okay. Something I'm thankful for with the Panthers. Jeremy Chin. Great draft pick. I'm glad we picked him up. He's a really, really solid player. I'm glad he's doing well. I'll just say once, that way y'all can have it. I don't want to take everybody's because I'm sure there's going to be some overlapping. But Jeremy Chin, very thankful that we drafted that player and he's worked out so well.
I like this one. Humble Flip No Fool says, grateful for this team looking competent. And that's what I love that. Okay. And I think that is a real illustration of how good this coaching staff has been. And I was worried about the coaching staff for much different reasons than other people, right? So some people want to be enemy, and that's why they didn't like Matt Rule, right? It didn't have anything to do with Matt Rule. It was
that could be partially me.
Yeah. They had a favorite. The other thing is that, like, I didn't think that these guys don't understand football. Like, everybody tells me that Joe Brady is the savant, this and that. I mean, I believe these guys understand football. The real question mark for me was them being able to transition to the big leagues and manage all of these things, whether it be Teddy Bridgewater and his injury decision or these roster moves, or just get into where the game plan and the guys were all on the same page. And we were told these guys are great teachers, and I think we've seen that they are. I think we've seen a defense bounce back after a tough week, played really great. I think we see a team that's getting better from week to week with that kind of hiccup when it came to the Buccaneers, and with half rookies, half bums. And there was a quote in The Athletic today. Joe Person said that he's thinking about starting a weekly column where it's just a Rasul Douglas quote. And Rasul Douglas, it's something, I'm going to paraphrase it just so I don't have to look it up. Probably should have had it written down. And that was, he was like, we're all having fun out here. We're running around, flying around, loving football like we were children, like we were like kids, like having fun playing the game. And he says the coaches are asking him, he's like, Rule's coming up to me and asking me if I'm having fun. He said, he's like, it's great. I mean, like, he's really speaking positive. So I think that that's a fantastic thing, is that we do. And Humble Flip No Fool says coaching staff looks A+. I feel like they are trying to outwork the other coaches. And I don't really know I tell you this, is that I've seen other teams that don't look competent. We don't look like that.
Well, it's a matter of competence, and you know, one thing that I can give credit to the coaching staff to as well, and kind of what we're talking about, is just with being they were 3-7, now they're 4-7, not giving up and not throwing in the towel for the season, and still fighting like they're, you know, playoff bound, or they're a team that's competitive. And I'll give them that, you know, like, you know, I didn't like the Matt Rule and the staff and everything hires, but I'll still give them credit where it's due, and that they've definitely fought through what doesn't look like a good season so far. So,
any thoughts on that? Thankfulness for this season? Anything to be grateful for in Panther Nation, CK?
Yeah, I'm thankful. I mean, so I think we can. We always realize we remember Matt, or I guess Ron Rivera, for a lot of things, and most of them are negative. But we also got to remember he did do a lot for this team as far as like making us relevant for a while, obviously with the help of Cam Newton. But, you know, I'll tell you this, and I'm not trying to just shit on Ron Rivera all day, but when you see that with 5 games left in the year, that Brian Burns has 100 more snaps this year than he did last year, I mean, you've got to be thankful for an organization willing to develop guys, or willing to give people a shot. Because that's just so refreshing to see these young guys out there. I wish they had made the decision to let Jermaine Carter Jr. actually make the start a lot sooner than they did. Yeah. But other than that, outside of that, I mean, you're seeing guys given a shot, and a lot of them are stepping up to the plate. I'm thankful for an organization who is willing to actually bet on the decisions they've made up to this point. Bottom line.
Kevin Boshoven says Joey Sly. Be thankful of that. And yeah, man, really impressive. He's been impressive this year. Gotten much more consistent. It's a second-year player too, so you know, he's gonna gain kind of confidence. See, just bouncing around. Right now, I guess because of the way Matt Rule discussed, just focusing on the latest news, and we'll get into the calls in just a moment. Matt Rule alluded that it was difficult to tell Teddy wasn't going to start or wasn't going to play or be active. You don't know who, if it's like Teddy's like, I can go, and he says, no, you can't. We don't really know exactly what it's like. We're just kind of piecemealing it together from his press conference. But that kind of alludes or suggests that Teddy will be ready this week. Teddy Bridgewater taking over the helm again, giving the keys back to Teddy Bridgewater to go and play against his former team, the Vikings, where he suffered that catastrophic leg injury, where he almost like lost his leg. What do you guys expect in the Teddy Bridgewater return? What will you be looking for? What are there anything to talk about beyond that?
I mean, it's hard to say, bro. It's hard to say because, I mean, we're not going up against a extremely dominant Packers or Vikings defense. So, I mean, he may actually have an opportunity to do something. And that's obviously something that's positive for him. But it's so hard to say. I mean, it's hard to make a judgment on what to see out of Teddy Bridgewater because I think we will see him start.
Tin Tizzy in the chat says Teddy got told Monday he was riding the bench. Tin Tizzy, I'd like to find what do you mean? Where's more information on that? I'd like to hear about that. But I don't think they're going to start Walker. I want them to start Walker. I'll represent like Cody says, like Cody would say on this. He should start the rest of the year. I don't think, or at least until he fails miserably. I don't think that he did anything less than what Teddy Bridgewater does. If not, he gave you more options. He opens up the playbook. You give him more time with the starters, and he's going to end up playing a little better. So with Teddy Bridgewater coming back, I expect, 250 yards, an interception, and maybe a touchdown or two, and off probably 35 passes. That has an average of like.
What happens if Teddy has a bad game?
Huh?
What happens if Teddy has a bad game? What happens
I think if you start Teddy in this game, it doesn't matter what he does. He's starting the rest of the season, barring injury.
Okay,
just me personally,
CK, your thought? Is there any way that PJ Walker? Well, I've heard a lot of people saying this is that PJ Walker proved that he should get more time in garbage situations, whether we're getting blown out or we're blowing out someone, to get snaps and reps in for him to continue to grow and see if you can enter next year with him being legitimately the backup quarterback. If Teddy Bridgewater struggles in his return, what's the storyline? Is there anything to talk about even, or is it just going to be this team has a lot of confidence in Teddy, and we're not just going to start flip-flopping because of one bad game?
I think that this team has a lot of confidence in Teddy. Like I said, I mean, you've got to look at this through a without the microscope of what happened with the Lions game, right? You've got to take that out of the equation, because if you just look at the scoreboard, it's easy to say, oh, we should go ahead and start PJ Walker because this is the first time we've had
I don't think anybody's really saying it on Mint Street though, like you're saying.
Yeah, because I don't think you should totally eliminate the Detroit game. I think you should eliminate the 20-0. That made it. If we won 20-18, that would have looked a whole lot different. But you're right that I think they're kind of struck by that. But I don't think you should completely eliminate that game. It's the only game you have.
No, I'm not.
Walker off
and of course, I don't say eliminate the game, but I think we're going to look at the scoreboard and make that decision based off of that.
Yeah,
but you're not going to look at the fact that he is young, he made mistakes, and those are things that come with experience. But are they ready to give him that time to learn from those errors and mistakes?
Right.
I don't know that they are yet. I think that Teddy Bridgewater came in here, filled a need, and I think he fits what Joe Brady wants to do with this organization, because it's exactly what he did with the Saints and with LSU. And so I think once that's something that's comfortable. PJ Walker is something that allowed him to expand his playbook, and I think he had a little bit of fun. But I think they're going to go back to the veteran that they know, who has been facing, by the way, very difficult competition. I mean, like the reason I say we're going to look at the Detroit game, and people can't look at that and just forget about everything else. Right. Yes, we did not win the games that Teddy Bridgewater is in, but Teddy Bridgewater has kept us reluctantly to say, has kept us in a lot of tough games against a lot of important, like big time. Like if you look at the people we've lost to this year, every one of them are possible playoff contenders, except for maybe the Bears.
And you're right. You cannot undersell how much he has done. Like, I know that he's taking a lot of heat on the podcast here, and but it's really been over one element of his game, and that is the conservatism of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a stark contrast when you see, who was it? Oh, the Raiders on Sunday night, right? The Raiders go down and basically win the game. They kick a field goal, or no, they scored a touchdown whenever they're up. Maybe they were up a field goal or something. But dang, Patrick Mahomes goes and drives down, and they score that touchdown to Kelsey in 22 seconds. When everybody knew exactly what they were trying to do. You know what I mean? It's just a different... That's
exactly the problem that we've had as a defense up to this point, though, is we've been on the opposite end of that against these guys.
Yeah.
Like, we knew exactly what they were going to do. We knew Kelsey was going to get the ball. And guess what? Kelsey had one of the best games of the season against us, because it's hard to stop that. Patrick Mahomes accounts for so much. And that's why, again, I'm not going to sit here and say that a Patrick Mahomes comes around every draft, but if watching Patrick Mahomes doesn't make you want a better quarterback, want that type of a quarterback, that type of quarterback is why watching Teddy Bridgewater is so painful for Cody.
Yeah, 100% agree.
But then you don't want to alienate the other things that he's doing well, right? It's just there's a limit. There's a limitation, and it's either conservatism or it's arm talent. All right, Tin Tizzy, get some rest. Here's an interesting story on Panthers.com. PJ Walker's mom recalls a 2018 dream that came true on Sunday. In 2018, she said, "I remember I woke up one morning and it was so weird I had to call him. He's with the Colts at the time, but I told him I dreamed he was playing with the Panthers." All right, so little prophecy there in her dream telling. And I don't think right now there are any other big storylines when it comes to the Carolina Panthers. Obviously you're going to be watching Teddy Bridgewater. You want to see how this defense does against a Minnesota team that has a very competent wide receiver core in Justin Jefferson as well as Adam Thielen. The hot and streaky up and down Kirk Cousins can be problematic, and I think really the real threat to us is Dalvin Cook. So those are the types of things. Dalvin Cook is like probably the third best running back in the league, honestly. I mean, he's right up there. Christian McCaffrey.
I think he leads in yards and touchdowns right now.
He's a man, dude. He's a more prototypical running back.
I think him and Christian McCaffrey are the two best running backs in the NFL when healthy.
Nah, man. Alvin Kamara, bro.
No, Kamara's had a down year.
You got
neither Dalvin Cook nor Christian McCaffrey when they were healthy has had a down year. Kamara's had down years.
I think it's Christian McCaffrey,
but he's up there.
And black Christian McCaffrey, which is Alvin Kamara. Like he had a down year last year, and that was it because he was hurt. So, all right. So when it comes to the Vikings, they started off very slow, but they're in the same boat as us. They're 4-6. They've already had their bye week. So we'll be watching that. I think the big story and the big focal point for us or for me is going to be on the defensive side of the ball, less than when it comes to Teddy Bridgewater. I want to go ahead and encourage everybody to be part of the conversation. The number's 252-228-5098. And what is today? Today is the 24th, right? Make sure I get the right cat calls in here. Let's go ahead and jump into the cat calls. You can be a part of the show.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty you shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like...
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his notebook? Who's that kid that can use one?
Hey Tony, hey Cody, hey guys. Just Chuck from Elizabeth City. After the win yesterday, Sunday, against Detroit, listened to you guys' podcast last night. Just kind of really wanted to temper the expectations of P.J. Walker. Teddy's ready to go. They're going to put him out there. Look, I think P.J. did an adequate job. He did good. The one positive I did see, DJ Moore did not have to wait on the ball like he would with Cam, with his shoulder, like he had with Teddy. P.J. Walker's got a rocket. He threw it out there, and DJ didn't have to wait. We can score with this kid. There's no doubt about that. His 2 picks worried me. The first one worried me the most, although I think the second pass was worse. We were up 7-0 in a game that was unclear who was going to win. Stafford had to fumble because of his thumb. We got to capitalize when a good quarterback, even though he's struggling right now, and that team's struggling in Detroit. A good team will capitalize on the turnover like that. They give it us points. And I was looking at my buddy watching the game, saying, we need a touchdown. We got to have a touchdown. But if we don't, we can't turn the ball over. We got to at least put 3 on the board. We got to have a 2-possession lead. And he threw that pick, and I was really disappointed. You can't do that. The second pick, I read online where someone said that he was trying to throw it away, but he threw it like 3 Detroit lines around. We didn't have a Panther in the area. I'm like, where the hell is he throwing the ball? We need more tape on him. Put him in against Minnesota. Minnesota's a little bit better of a team. It's on the road. They get game film on him. It might not be the same thing, but we need to get more of a look. And as far as Will Greer, if I'm Marty Herney, I'm a little worried looking at my shoulder. He put a lot of emphasis on linemen there when they drafted Will Greer, that he was the best quarterback in the draft, better than Kyler Murray. They had him rated so high, and we picked him in the 3rd round when we could have had a guy. Tony, I believe you mentioned yourself, we could have had a guy like the safety / slot corner that went to New Orleans on Chauncey Johnson Gardner. I think that's his name. When we needed a position like that, we could have gotten a guy like that, and we take Will Greer. And I know Will Greer was awesome in college, but if he's going to grow his hair and beard out and look like he's off of daggone Duck Dynasty, he's got to do a little bit, but he's got to get in these games. If he can't, Ernie really dropped the ball on that pick. And I'm starting to look at him since he's come back with that pick and the Golden pick, as far as cutting a player after a year and a half, that we drafted high, 2nd, 3rd rounders. They're not paying him out. He's got to do a little bit better. Although I like your chin picking.
Here's part 2 of the call.
Yeah, this is Chuck in Elizabeth City, part 2 of my call. Just to kind of reiterate what I was talking about, P.J. Walker. We got to have a little bit more game tape and see what we got. I don't want to play for draft position here, guys, and get a quarterback. That's not guaranteed. Let's try to win as many as we can. And go out with a bang. I think that we need a corner or, to get offensive line depth, but I really would like to get Parsons a linebacker at Penn State. I think we need to get a linebacker. And speaking of linebacker, I noticed in that game yesterday, I didn't even pay attention to it, but, Carter did play, and I didn't hear Tyler Whitehead's name the whole day. And no pun intended, but Whitehead has been a blemish on the face of our defense. So what did Phil Snow do? He put the pimple cream on, and the next thing you know, the girl who won't go out on a date because she's got a bunch of zits on her face, all of a sudden she's very beautiful and she goes out and gets a win. Whitehead's definitely got to go. I think Shaq Thompson backed his words up, and he played well yesterday, although he did have the interception he dropped. Overall, guys, like I said, I like where we're heading. Minnesota's really going to be a critical game because they're fighting for a playoff spot. If we can win this game, I think we get a bye, and then we got Green Bay. And somehow we can pull out a couple of wins and get close to 500 with the last 2 games left. We've got a shot at that last seed. Kind of excites me, saying that we're fighting. But, temper our expectations, see what happens, guys. Keep pounding. Love the podcast.
Man, I appreciate the call, and I think first is always brings in great measured points. One is, let's pump the brakes a little bit on the P.J. Walker love. And we were part of that excitement after the game, and it was nice to see him coming out and, being part of leading us to a win. And I think one of the things that was really exciting about is the way it happened. Is yes, those 2 interceptions were the reality check of the PJ Walker moment. Imagine if he would have thrown 2 touchdowns there,
or even just one. Even just
we
one
would have
touchdown.
been like, oh my God, PJ Walker is the next Mike Vick, yo. He is the next Mike Vick. That's what he reminds me of. He looks like he could play like Mike Vick. But I think one of the things is that one is PJ did a good job in a difficult situation. NFL first start. Sure, he wasn't playing the greatest competition, and their offense didn't really put us in a come from behind kind of moment. The exciting part about PJ Walker, though, was the way we got our points in some moments, and they just did come on some explosive plays. And I was talking with some people on Twitter, and they were like, oh, well, that one pass to DJ, but that's the only one I remember. The Curtis Samuel touchdown, I think, has to be considered an explosive play. And then I think the other one, to me, that was like a really exciting play, and I don't know if you would call it an explosive play, was that when he's scrambling right and DJ comes back to the ball and he throws that missile.
Yeah.
And I think that was either a 3rd or 4th down conversion. So I think that brought, just some excitement to the situation. But yeah, Teddy is the guy, right? We know that. I think that people are interested in seeing what is Teddy PJ, what's his role going to be like in the future with the organization. He's only 25 years old, so he's not an old-timer. He's younger than his counterpart. And I think that that's where the real conversation probably goes is, what does this mean for Will Grier now, guys? And do you think that starting PJ Walker says that Will Grier is not the guy, or he's not going to have a spot here in the future? And I think it kind of feels that way to me.
Yeah, I definitely do, because, before PJ Walker started, it was always, they were saying we're alternating who's the backup is Grier and Walker. And it just happened to be the 2 times that Bridgewater went out, Walker was the guy who happened to be the backup that week. Well, that would have meant that last week should have been Will Grier's turn to be the backup, which would have inherently been the starter based on the fact that Teddy Bridgewater was out, and they picked Walker. So I feel like that right there was a statement that they were going back and forth about who was going to be the starter, Grier, or not starter, but the backup, Grier or Walker. Now they've definitively made that decision. Walker is the number 2 guy. I don't want to hold 3 quarterbacks, and I don't see them holding Will Grier. I feel like it's just a wasted draft pick. So,
all right, CK, your thoughts on Tahir Whitehead, the pop in the Whitehead, and clearing up our facial complexion on defense. If Jermaine Carter Jr. continues to play well, do you think I'm going to be watching this week to see if the same difference in speed looks like it is around. We look like a faster defense this past week with him on the field, and he's not a barn burner by any means, but he is athletic and he tackles hard, man. What are your thoughts on Whitehead going forward, or how this defense is progressing in his absence? He might not be here. Am I talking to myself?
I don't think the case here, yeah.
Did he leave?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what happened. I see his still picture, but I don't see his face.
Nope, he must have stepped out. I'm sitting here talking to myself.
Okay. Repeat that question again.
I was going to say, my question?
Yeah.
Was
it was like Whitehead about us being faster,
is that
right?
we look faster without Whitehead out there. We popped the Whitehead and our complexion cleaned up. Now, I mean, it's not the best of, opponents, but if you continue to see that speed in the middle and the other guys, we see the benefit around that. I think it's going to become clear that, man, our handicap was part on the field at the time.
I agree. And, I think that we are a better defense without a Whitehead, just based on what we saw. Now, once again, you've got to take everything into consideration. It was
one game.
Detroit. It was Detroit, even though Detroit had one more win than us. So it's not like they were a terrible team. If we're going to consider us to be a good team, and they have to be as well with one more win. And we also had Whitehead play against Atlanta, who, while their record doesn't show for it, I think has a better offense than Detroit. And, I mean, there's so many things you got to take into consideration, but I feel like, yes, we were faster. I feel like, yes, our defense felt like they played better. I don't know. Maybe, what's his name? Shaq Thompson's speech lit a fire in some people, and hopefully it did. That'd be awesome if it did. But we looked better without Whitehead, and you're right. I'm glad we popped that Whitehead because I don't. Now the question is, are we going to see him again? That's the big thing. Is the coaching question?
Yeah, that is a big thing. All right, so y'all in chat got to smash that thumbs up button, man. There's over 40 people watching. We only got 19 likes right here. I know we don't got your favorite person, Code Dizzle. Cody Lashney, and not Code Dizzle. He's over here playing mime somewhere. Cody Lashney, but you can still smack a thumbs up button. I like this comment in the chat room. This might be the best case scenario for the team. Teddy has to watch that Lions tape and see that he'll need to play better. If Teddy starts slinging it and we're winning games, then sign me up. I think there's something to that. It's nice when you don't feel like your spot's given to you. And I don't think that, Teddy has just felt like everything's been given to him on a silver platter. But he was brought in here to be the starter. It's always nice to have the young bucks chasing and nipping at the heels. Right? That internal competition, just at least if it's internal drive. I think the other thing is that's really interesting or kind of intriguing is that we did see these guys make these big explosive plays, and that's been the kind of criticism. And we've tried to figure out if it's offensive line. We've tried, and I'll keep going back to this, there's three parts to the equation of why the Panthers haven't been going deep with Teddy, right? There's one part of the equation is the offensive line. The question is the time there. It's not the best offensive line, but it's not the worst in some ways. But that is a factor. Another factor is Teddy's arm strength is a factor. Mm-hmm. And the third factor is really, I think, what for me is the overriding one. It's just he is more conservative in nature. Mm-hmm. And, just has the tendency to not just chunk it when he thinks he sees it, or I don't know what it is. And so if you can't fix the offense, he can't fix the offensive line. Teddy can't fix the offensive line.
But we just saw the offensive line can hold for you to throw a deep ball, though.
Right. And the other thing is he can't fix his arm strength, right? His arm is his arm at this point. But maybe watching this tape can say, you know what? We need to be a little bit more aggressive, Teddy. You can be more aggressive. So I like that take in the chat room. Thanks, Slim Jimma in the house. I wonder if that's hold on. Name will come to me in a second. All right, let's go to part 3 of the call. Actually,
hi Tony, Cody, guys. This is Chuck calling from Elizabeth City. Yes, this is my third call of the evening. But one thing I got sitting down thinking about it yesterday, I come to the revelation of something we've got to change. And I've been a big fan of Ian Thomas. But we've got to have a true tight end. Greg's gone.
Great.
I think we made the right move there, letting him go. That's proven with his injuries and his age. Ian Thomas just is not blooming. I have no problem with him being the second tight end. We're not getting enough from him to be the number one. And Manhurst, he's a blocking tight end. He dropped a surefire pass yesterday. It would have been a first down.
Yeah, would have ended the game, put us in victory mode.
We don't draft one high, of course, but we either find one, second, third, fourth round in this draft coming up, or we're going to have to target somebody in free agent. And I hate to kind of do that because we're going to overspend, but we're going to have to find a diamond in the rough, and maybe other teams have done it. Maybe we could be lucky enough. But I think it's time our quarterbacks need a safety valve and a really good tight end. I think with Christian coming back and having a really good tight end, it'll make a world of difference in this offense, especially with the receivers that we have.
Yeah.
It's kind of bizarre seeing an offense that has no tight end involvement in it. Maybe it's because we've been so accustomed to having the tight end as our main receiver for a long time. I mean, arguably, Greg Olsen was our best receiver. And then on top of that there was the year that was Cam's rookie year where you had Olsen and Shockey.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't seen – I've never even seen I've never seen an offense where the tight end was used any less than ours.
Yeah.
Bro, okay, so I'm looking here at the tight ends that are free agents this year.
Mm-hmm.
And keep in mind, these are ones that can definitely be shored up before the end of the year. I mean, there's not a tremendous amount of number. Like, I'm not going to come out and tell you, like, there's 15 free agent tight ends that we would want to target. But number one is Hunter Henry.
Okay.
Number two is Rob Gronkowski. Number three is Jared Cook.
No. Okay.
Isn't he with the New Orleans Saints?
Jared Cook is too old, man. Unless you're going to sign him for a 1-year deal,
the
he's not
Joe Brady,
he's 34,
the Teddy
he's
Bridgewater.
He's 34, exactly. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm 35, so I don't want to think 34 is old. But for a football player, a tight end, that kind of position, you're not going to want to sign a guy to be 34 years old to be your next.
The future Gronkowski is only 32. I felt like he was like almost 40.
Wow, yeah,
I know.
I thought he was about 34, 35.
Well, that's what happens when you party all night and then
and take as many hits as he did. I remember. You guys remember when he was getting injured all the time, and his dad came out and said, "I want him to retire."
Yeah. And he said he got his body back. I thought it was he had a little pregame conversation with Randy Moss before their game on Monday night, and it was funny because he was like, "Blocking tight ends don't get paid squat. You catch the ball though, and you a tight end, you get paid." He said, "I ain't catching the ball anymore. I ain't getting paid or whatever." But it is kind of bizarre. It's also, to me, the strangest thing about this is how Ian Thomas is not involved still. Like I thought that he showed. This is his second year or third year.
This is his, I think, maybe even longer than that. This may be his fourth year. I'm not sure.
This is third at the most. Let's see. I'm going to look it up. What's his name again?
Who is it?
Ian Thomas.
Yeah.
He was drafted in 2018, so it's his third year.
Okay, third year.
Seems
like he's doing the team
part
forever.
Of it is just like they're not making it. Like,
he had 36 catches his rookie year. He had 16 last year. He had 12. He has 12 this year.
But that's the problem that I'm seeing. Like we can go back to my original statement and say I'm refreshed to see them giving opportunities. What I'm learning now with this coaching staff is either they don't have faith and they've seen enough to know that he isn't the answer, or they don't have an offensive. Their offense is not tight end specific. Like,
and I think that could really be part of it because we only went into this season with 2 tight ends on the roster.
Yeah.
And I have never even heard of that because, to be honest, you always have the 2 that you're going to play in a game if you do, the formation where you put in the 2 tight end set. But I had always heard Ron Rivera and them and Herney and all these guys say that we kept a 3rd tight end on the roster for like a field goal, like things you didn't see, extra points.
Special teams.
Yeah, these types of places where you need extra guys on the line that are not just all offensive linemen, but can be blockers. Yeah. And this team felt comfortable going into the season. I don't know if comfortable is the right word, but they didn't even have a guy. Like, what happens if he would have gotten injured? If Ian Thomas got injured, they're just like picking from a scrap heap somewhere. That's kind of where I think you're right, CK, is this partially just a scheme that's not interested in the tight ends? Yeah. And if we go and look at the history of the New Orleans Saints under the Sean Payton offense, has their tight end ever really been a large part? I always feel like they have a name, though. They always have a name recycling in, but they brought in – remember, we poached Ben Watson from them. He worked for a little while. They got the dude from Indianapolis.
Jimmy Graham. But here's the thing.
Graham, they had
the reason
Cook. Yeah, they've
had them. But here's the thing, Greg, and this is why I agree with Tony's point. They've let every one of them walk. They've traded them away.
Yeah.
Like,
and they never are consistent in fantasy.
Yeah, definitely not. Well, here's my thing. I think it's very weird, and I agree with y'all that it looks like what they've done is they've made it so that way we're not uh
Tight
offense is
ends.
predicated on the tight end being a big part of the offense, you know. But for some reason, it's just weird because if that's the case, why are we dinking and dunking so much? Because generally, an offense that passes underneath and has a lot of shorter
Has
passes
those pass
has
catching
those
tight ends.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. So it doesn't make any sense to me. Like I don't think y'all are wrong. I think y'all are actually right because of based on what we have going in with two tight ends this season. Like it seems like that, but if you're going to be like that, you would think you would have more explosive down the field type offense rather than a shorter, more conservative offense. I feel like a tight end is a safety valve for a more conservative offense.
And I thought that Joe Brady's idea was to just spread the field out. So you put the tight end, even if he was chipping and then running into a route.
But we do a lot of 5 wide receiver sets, don't we?
What you mean, like no backfield, like zero back?
Yeah, zero back. We have, where a tight end would be, we have a wide receiver. So, I mean, we still have the pieces out there on the field to spread the defense around.
That's a good point.
So, I mean, it's just that we don't have that tight end aspect, which to me, what you're getting out of a tight end is less about, he's going to take the top off of a defense or anything like that, but it's going to make the linebackers focus more on them, which, I mean, if you have a 5th receiver in there, they're going to do that anyway. So I'm not really sure that obviously a good tight end would definitely help the offense, but I'm not sure that it would take us over the top.
Right.
Aside from red zone offense, that would be a big part.
Yeah, a big tight end, a big target would help out in the red zone.
Shout out to Shane Welch, KD, Carl Van, Nick Montiero, all in the chat room. Joey the Blind Panther, Carl Van coming in. He's firing shots already. That's my boy Carl. He said, "What's up, Cam Sexuals?" And I would say I just saw Carl get out of the back of Teddy Bridgewater's van. Oh, hey, the BD. No, is Teddy Bridgewater drives a minivan. That's why they love him. And did you see this article? Now, I don't know if you guys got to see it. Go check out Cody Lashney's Twitter page. And maybe I can pull it up real quick. I'm going to pull it up on the next. I'm going to go ahead and play the next call and then pull this up. Because Cody went crazy and ballistic after, who's the sports writer nobody likes, David Newton? And I was like, man, I felt like, Cody, that's even a little too hard. And then I read the passage and I was like, man, that was justified.
Right.
Here's the next call, 252-228-5098. Oh, I'm going to start it again because it is not loud enough, A. And B, I was talking.
Hi, Tony. Cody, guys, this is Chuck calling from...
Oh, that's the same guy.
Hey, this is Brandon from Minnesota.
Ooh.
I didn't watch quite all of the post-game show, but so maybe somebody brought this point up, but I wanted to say that I felt like people were super excited about B.J. Walker, and definitely was too, but I feel like we had a good date with B.J. Walker, but we don't need to plan to marry him quite yet. We got to see how he does as we see him against some different teams and some film gets out there on him, so we see how teams react to him and how he reacts to what they're throwing at him in the future. And I also agree with Bat Daddy, who said that he feels like Teddy Bridgewater is probably going to come back. I think that Matt Rule specifically picked Teddy Bridgewater, and I think it's going to be really tough for Matt Rule to say, hey, I was wrong on that one. But it is an opportunity for us to see what Matt Rule is about. Is he somebody you can say, hey, I made a mistake? Because that's real leadership. You don't always make the right decisions on everything. But if you can stand up and say, hey, I did this one wrong, but I'm going to change change what I'm doing, and we're going to do better next time. I think that was one of the problems we kind of had with Ron Rivera at the end, was that he didn't blame himself for anything. And he didn't want to change anything because he thought he was always right. So let's see what happens with Matt Rule. Hopefully he does the thing that's best for the team. And I don't agree with the people that felt like we really wanted to end on an 11-game losing streak, because I think that you can get the stink on you, like Tony said. And even if we were going to get a great quarterback, I still think that stink is really something you got to stop from having happen on the team. So hopefully Matt Rule can help to create the kind of culture we want in Carolina, and we can start seeing a lot of wins in the future. Keep pounding.
I love that call. I agree 100%. Is that a nice date with PJ Walker? It was pleasantly better than you expected. You know, you're matched up with somebody. Your mom put you together with some girl from church, and it's pleasantly better than you expected. I don't think we got to go crazy and plan the wedding just yet. I think, though, and I don't even think either that we should start talking quarterback controversy necessarily in Carolina. I know that Cody was taking a strong position on that Teddy shouldn't see another snap. I think it's an interesting, it's an aggressive kind of position, but they believe Teddy. They've thought, or at least they've said that publicly. They've been so supportive of him, and I think it would be a stab in the back I don't think you do that, right? I don't even think it would be a good message to the team, to be honest. I think the real question, though, is what happens if Teddy struggles consecutively? What happens if he gets in? If he struggle, if not just one game, but we go on a 4-game losing streak. He's playing bad. What do you do? Do you do anything? Do you just keep banging the square peg through the round hole? I think another question is, what about injury? What happens if something else gets nicked up? I mean, obviously that'll make that kind of problem or paradox a little bit easier for you. I think one thing I want to see, I'd be interested to see, so that Kansas City game, when we trotted out Joey Sly in windy Arrowhead to try to kick a 67-yard field goal, I think that was a real statement that Teddy just couldn't get it downfield. Like, they just didn't think that, like, it would just be 10 yards short. So there was zero chance there. So there's also zero, maybe. What about, like, doing something like New Orleans, where they bring in Taysom Hill to throw that ball? Maybe we bring in.
We did that last year, or maybe 2 years ago. Do you remember when Cam came in and they, like, that last play they brought in? It was 2018. They, like, at that last half of the season, before anybody actually confirmed he had a shoulder injury, they brought in somebody to do the Hail Mary for him.
I did. So I don't think Teddy's injured shoulder wise, right?
But what I mean is we've done that as an organization before.
Yeah, I would be. I'm just looking for evidence. Like, we're looking for clues. Like, we're a podcast of the Panther detectives looking for any breadcrumb or fingerprint that tells us what's going on in the way this team is being built.
Well, we obviously dig very deep into everything that happens because that is what this is meant to be, right? I mean, if somebody says something on the podium, it can be taken one of two ways, and a lot of times one way is very favorable and the other way is not, and you can read between the lines. We can if they make an action and that action indicates to us that, hey, maybe they don't have as much faith in Teddy's arm as they once did, or maybe we thought they did, and that not doing Hail Marys. Right now, we have not done a Hail Mary all year, even when it was a scenario where it was clearly needed. We did that
cool play against the Chargers, man. We did that cool play against the Chargers where we threw it and then they pitched it. Oh, and it was going to be a touchdown. Do you remember that where they threw it, they ran that, whatever it was? It was a design play like that. But that's what I'm saying is that if you did have to throw a Hail Mary and you don't think Teddy could do it, the arm, we'd be looking to see if PJ goes in there. It tells us something about their thoughts. And look, they said it on the dang broadcast over and over that PJ had the strongest, best arm. That's kind of a crazy thing. The organization
told them that.
That's insane.
They're being told by people from the organization that he has by far the best arm on the team.
Mm-hmm. And you got to wonder what best arm means, too, because I know that everybody that's a Teddy Bridgewater apologist is going to talk about his 73% completion percentage and all this stuff. And I get that. But my question is, would you rather have – I just feel like, would you rather have 3 touchdowns and 220 yards, or 1 touchdown and 300 yards? Is my question with that. And that's kind of,
I think if I was going to
Teddy Bridgewater,
if I was Teddy Bridgewater and I heard anybody say that PJ Walker had the best arm, I would just drop my pants. I'd be like, well, what about my baby arm? It looks better. It looks bigger. Yeah. All right, 252-228-5098.
What's going on, C3 Nation? It's your boy Jay Anderson.
What up, Jay?
Couple of things I wanna say. First, the whole, everybody. I think Teddy needs to sit. I know you want to have this revenge game and go back to Minnesota. That's cool, but dude, you had a knee injury. I think he needs to sit. Sit this game out. You got week 4. You got a bye week, and then come back week 14. After the bye week, just come back after the bye week and be ready. If people are, if the Teddy stands, want him healthy, then he needs to sit this game out. He definitely just needs to sit this game out. The other thing, David Newton, man. David Newton is a trash beat writer. He's absolutely worst, and I think ESPN loves that because the way he trashes Cam Newton, and ESPN loves that. Dude, if you wanna celebrate Teddy, that's cool, but you ain't got to dog out Cam Newton for all he has done for the Carolina Panthers organization.
Right.
It's like that is just trash. He's been trash for years. That's one thing that Panthers fans can all agree on, that nobody likes David Newton. He is absolute trash. He is absolute the worst, and I can't stand this clown behind. Last on the good note, even on a sad note, but I like to, thinking about the whole, this Thanksgiving week, it just makes me think about that time, 2015, when the Panthers took over Jerry's World, beat the Cowboys like no other. I remember that whole week when my coworkers just was talking about Dallas going to win, a 3-7 team going to beat a 10-0 team, and I just hold my breath. I just wait till the game is over. And that Monday when they came back, they couldn't say a damn thing. That was such an awesome game. I love that game. I wish I can relive that in my mind every Thanksgiving. Holla at y'all boys.
Jay Anderson is in my head, bro. He's in my brain, man. Like he's going after the David Newton thing. But before we go to the David Newton thing, I think we should wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving.
Agreed. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving. Here, I'm going to do it by doing this.
Let's talk turkey. An educational film strip presented by.
And he run two of them back this year. 3rd and 6. On the pocket. He is picked off. It's intercepted by Kurt Coleman. Coleman breaks the tackle. He's at the 10. Gets around Whitney, and he's going to find the end zone. Carolina, 59. 2nd and 13. Seal. He's intercepted by Keekly. Keekly inside the 20 to the 10 to the end zone. To the end zone for another Panther.
All right, that's a little happy Thanksgiving from CK, from the C3 family. CK as well, I'm sure, is wishing you a happy Thanksgiving. No. As soon as I was thinking about tonight's show, the first thing that came to mind, and I think will come to mind for a generation of Panther fans, on Thanksgiving Day, being able to watch your own team, right? I mean, Dallas, you get to watch Dallas. If you're a Dallas fan, you watch them every year. You watch the Lions every year. But it's really great when your team plays one of those teams on that day because it makes it special, You're overstuffed. You're with your family. you're running out of gas at that point in the evening from eating so much and hanging out with everybody. And I was uplifted by that game, and I remember the excitement. So I went back and pulled those clips. Jay Anderson, if you're listening right later on, you got to go back and watch the live podcast because I just put up a little kind of montage video I made out of ridiculous stuff I found on the internet. That little turkey, by the way, running in the middle of that video, I know that I don't know if CK saw it, but Greg saw it. That turkey running was, I told you I was in the rabbit hole on archive.org. There was one video that was uploaded by some TV station, and it was 1992 Thanksgiving commercials. So there is an hour, you can go watch an hour-long video that is just Thanksgiving Day commercials from 1992. That turkey is one of those commercials, is part of that commercial. Anyway, just what a Thanksgiving that was. So I went back and I pulled the clips for that game. We had 2 defensive scores in that game. We kicked like 5 field goals. Cam only had 1 rushing touchdown. Our offense didn't do anything, and we stopped them. Our offense did very little. Graham Gano had a hell of a game. So that was an interesting a game that we'll all remember. Yeah. And it was fun, and it was fun for Thanksgiving. Who's playing on Thanksgiving this week? This year?
I don't even know, man.
I think the Redskins in Dallas or the Washington football team.
Oh, that's right.
That's it.
That's the worst, awesome, best game, right? That's
the worst, best game I've ever seen.
It's terrible. You are rooting for. My friend is he's a Washington football team fan. And he is just, these guys are just excited to just, like, their whole season to them is made by just ruining Dallas's season. Like, they don't care. Like, if they just sweep Dallas, they're fine. They don't care what it means for their team.
They're a half game back from first place in their division, dude. They could, they're the hottest team in that division right now. They could make the playoffs.
All right, let's go to. I want to bring this up. I'm gonna read it off for you guys.
It's so sad to think that. By the way,
it is so sad to think that they need to take that away. That does not need to be the way they have the playoffs. It needs to be straight up record. I'm sorry. They need to get rid of divisions, not divisions in football as far as playing, as far as if you win your division, you're an automatic playoff team. No, they need to get rid of that. It needs to be record based. Period. I'm so tired of this.
I was tired of it when we did it because we had to hear
I agree. We didn't deserve. I don't want to see a team that doesn't deserve to be there.
Or maybe they should be seeded differently at the very least.
I think there might be. I think it might be like we have more teams in the playoffs. If you're going to have it that way, I think the 3 teams. I'm glad that they improved to the 3 teams that they did, but after this year, because I'm telling you. If you look at this NFC East, it is very possible these guys win their division with 5 wins.
It's more than likely going to be 7, but yeah, you're right. It's very possible because they got to play each other a lot still.
Do they have a lot of inter-conference games still?
I think there are still a few left for each team. Yeah, at least 2 left for each team. But either way, I mean, you're right. Some team's going to win with an under 500 record, and make the playoffs, which once again we did that and I know that, but at the same time I would rather not see a team in the playoffs that doesn't deserve
God, and we almost won. We had a home game, first of all. We had a home playoff game.
Yep.
I will say this is that and I say that phrase all the time. Why do I say that so much?
I will say this.
Yeah. I don't know why I say it so much. I remember that
I will say this.
I remember that the reason that I hated Colin Kaepernick had nothing to do with the kneeling and the flag. It was because he did the Superman in Charlotte, in our hometown. Like he scored against our defense and then did the Cam celebration in our end zone and then buttoned
And
it
ripped
up.
it off, yeah.
Oh, I was like, oh, I hate this dude. And so that's the fun thing is I hated Colin Kaepernick before everybody else. So I saw this tweet from Cody today. I got it on the screen. And I thought, man, you know, because Cody he can get rowdy a little every now and then.
Yeah.
He said, hey there, and he at some, hey there, at David Newton ESPN. Just wanted to remind you that you absolutely fucking suck as a beat reporter. And there are no Panther fans that actually respect you because of the shit you write. How you continuously disrespect this franchise and its great players. Fuck you. So I read the tweet and I was like, Cody. Oh my. Like, what
if David Newton sits down in his bathroom at night by himself reading that tweet?
Oh, don't worry. He reads hundreds of those, dude. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So then I clicked on the picture that was posted with it. And I was kind of like, all right, I think so. Now, this is what it says. It says, well, David Newton posted this. The typical what we are thankful, like we did earlier in the show. I know it's so cornball. Yeah. What are we thankful for? What they're thankful for. He put QB Teddy Bridgewater. Quote, moving on from franchise quarterback Cam Newton drew criticism and angst from many outside of Bank of America Stadium, but Bridgewater has proved to be everything the coaching staff was looking for and more. He has handled the transition with class and dignity and has shown that he is more than worthy of replacing the best quarterback, maybe the best player in franchise history. Bridgewater has shown you can perform at a high level and be humble and fun-loving without being the center of attention, as Newton often was because of his celebrity status. So after I read that, I was like, yeah, fuck you too. And I get what Cody was saying or why Cody was pissed off. And I think that's what Jay Anderson and people in the chat room were saying is, you know, is all right. You guys told us that Cam Newton was on the mind so much, right? Y'all, I mean, Carl came up in here and said, what's up, Cam sexuals? It's kind of funny, though. I wish he would have come up that earlier when he was here, when I was really ready to give it up for him. But no, is that at the same time, it's like the anti-Cam fans can't give it up.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And it's partially our fault, right? It's partially our fault because we did, for a good portion of after Cam left, we were salty about it and we just wanted to constantly talk about it. And then we came to a point where we were tired of talking about it. And now it is just all they want to say is everything they possibly can to put Cam down, right? Like, or to make it, see, we told you Cam's like, even when there is nothing that can be done to, he's in a shitty situation in with the Patriots. By the way, coming off of a 2-win streak where he's actually been playing pretty well, but they still, you know, it's still going to come back and say, you know, Cam Newton's not good or Teddy Bridgewater is doing more than what Cam Newton could do with this offense or anything like that. I mean, I'm tired of people trying to shit on Cam when he can't even defend himself on the team anymore, right? I think his history on the team is all you need to know, and he is by far the best player this franchise has ever seen. Or at least most important this franchise has ever seen.
Correction, they did lose this past week, though.
That's right. Well, they lost, but Cam Newton was not the reason.
Balled out. He was the number one quarterback.
But all right, so it's still kind of the regular story for Cam.
Here's the thing:
no rushing touchdowns. 26 for 40, 365. Big game, 365, 1 touchdown.
Bird had a big game too. Yeah. Here's the thing: it is. No matter what Cam does, it's going to be do what?
Damiere Byrd is like my real non-Panther favorite player. Somebody asked me this. I thought this was a cool question, and I'll ask you guys this. Go ahead and say your statement and think about this, CK, while he's saying it. If you bought a jersey for a player who wasn't a Panther, who would it be? Like if you bought, if you bought one jersey for a non-Panther player, who would it be? All right, go ahead, Greg, with your point.
I know mine, but I'll do it this. The thing about Cam Newton is, I think that the reason why they're lashing out like that is because of hurt dog whimpers, man. I think that if Cam Newton ends up having a better season with a worse team in the same situation that Bridgewater was in, coming off injury with a new team, no OTAs, throw everything you want to at me, Teddy Bridgewater apologist about that. Cam Newton's in the same situation with a worse, team to play with. If he does better than Bridgewater this year, then that's a slap in the face to front office and coaching for Carolina, because not only did you waste money, but you wasted opportunity. And I think that whenever you start to whimper like this and you start to say stuff like this, it's because you see, maybe we made the wrong decision here. Maybe we wasted a little money. Maybe we should have stuck with Cam one more year. Even if he finished the year 7-9, then guess what? He's done with his contract. Get rid of him. You can do what you want to do. But I think that's what that is. That they realize maybe we messed up. We're trying to save a little face here.
I'm more with Jay Anderson, though, is that I have less of a problem now with turning the page on Cam. Like each and every week we talk about him less.
Yeah.
It seems like other people bring
because time.
And I'm fine with what Teddy Bridgewater has done. He's not necessarily disappointed me.
Okay.
In what I expected out of him. I just know, man. He's like kind of met the whole team has sort of exceeded expectations.
That is true. You did predict us to win 4 games this year, and I think 3 or 4 games this year. So that's right where we're at. So you're right. You're right on point. So I can't argue
but the
that.
thing with this is like, these are all innuendo jabs about Cam's personality, about this, right? It's kind of the shit that I said, that what race, like the embedded racism in the language of football talk for decades. Cam has an embedded racist language, and it's not based on race for him, or maybe it is
based on personality,
right?
It's based on what he has, and this is stereotyping. This is what this is.
Yeah, it's not because he's black in this case. It's because he is. I don't know what it is. It's just he has a personality
they would
that's
call
like
Cam a diva in that respect. Because of the way he dresses and everything
that's
like that. They would put him in that category.
Term. Yes.
Which, by the way, if you want to talk about diva, Cam Newton is far from diva. If you want to put somebody like Deion Sanders in that category, or Ocho Cinco, Cam Newton is not Cam Newton is not honestly, he's pretty mild. The problem is Cam Newton's a quarterback acting like a defensive end. That's what it is.
Nobody can get over the Super Bowl and walking away from the microphone.
They've hated him before that.
No,
I agree. And now I'm with CK. I think it's before that.
Work. I talk to my friends at work, and that's all they talk about is, you know what? After you walked away from the microphone in that Super Bowl, I just could never ever believe he was a good quarterback again.
They just
speaking of, can we pivot that point into Tom Brady too? Go ahead, CK.
I was going to say this. What I do for work is I'm a debt collector, right? And I've said it before on the stream. What I've learned is people take an opportunity to blame the most recent tragedy, right? For the reason they're in their position. So, for instance, 6 months ago, people were telling me the reason they stopped paying on their credit cards was because of COVID. Their last payment was about 8 months prior to COVID actually even hitting the country. Right. But they still blamed COVID, right? So, reality is they're using COVID because it's an easy answer right then and there, right? A lot of people didn't like Cam Newton because he did the Superman pose and he told people, you don't like me getting into the end zone, just stop me. All this
Aaron
stuff.
Rodgers does the discount double check and I just don't get it. I don't get it.
There's a lot of people that don't like Aaron Rodgers either, but the reality of it is because Cam Newton did that, they have something they can physically hold on to that makes it all right for them to shit on Cam Newton, and that is what it is. And that's what I get frustrated about, is because you want to say it's not about race. I agree. I don't think it's about race. I think it's about a personality you expect a quarterback to have isn't living up to what you expect, or he's not on your team. And that's the problem. Like, I feel the same way with Patrick Mahomes. Every time he does this, it's on them. It's on them. I get so pissed off at that. But if I'm a Kansas City Chiefs fan, I'm like, I love that he does that.
Right.
It's just
It's
a
like
double
Cam's
standard.
dad. Yeah, I hear you.
I think initially with Cam, it was about race. Or not only, I think it was a factor initially. I think this continued part, though, as is just kind of transgressed into, like, I think even more so personality. And he's just, I think, I am waiting for Barack Obama to get COVID. And the reason I say that is, I know that sounds strange. You're like, where the fuck did that come from? Is that the three most polarizing people in my life, two of them have had COVID this year. Donald Trump, Cam Newton, and Barack Obama. Like, Barack Obama, Cam Newton, and Donald Trump all have one thing in common, is like people can't fall in the middle on them. You know, is that you either love Cam or you hate Cam. You either love Barack Obama or you hate Barack Obama. You either love Donald Trump or you hate Donald Trump. And so I do think that race is interwoven into the discussion of Cam. I think it's becoming less and less as more and more, things have changed in the NFL.
Yeah.
But on top of that is that this guy, the football fans have a strange kind of component to them. Is that like we think that these guys are like superhuman and awesome, and like we know that they're like these just millionaires, super, like we have all of these high expectations for them too. But we also, as fans, or at least maybe old school fans, I don't know who they are. It's like dad fans, like old white dad fans, need players to humble themselves to us.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, oh, man, you are way too arrogant for this. I'm like, God. Like, you don't go into the doctor's office and be like, you are too fucking arrogant, brother, to give me... I don't know. It's just a bizarre kind of component is that we... as fans, I guess, think because you are a product that is consumed by us, you have to show us some deference.
Yeah. Right. And my dad falls in that category you're talking about, that the old dad that looks at it like, oh, no matter what Cam Newton does for us, I don't like him doing this and I like him doing that. Who fucking cares, man? Seriously. Are you telling me seriously? Anybody out there, I don't give a damn who you are, anybody out there, you're in a situation where you're down 5 points, a minute left to go. You score a touchdown to win the game, either throwing or running, doesn't matter. Or you don't even do it. You hand it off and it scores, and you're going to celebrate. You're not going to fucking celebrate? Kiss my ass. Hell yeah, you are. Don't tell me you're not going to celebrate. You just don't like the way Cam Newton did it. You don't like the way the cameraman zoomed in on him. Kiss my ass. You're going to celebrate. Period.
I mean, it's kind of it's the other kind of element that's weird about it too, is that we always beg for these people to open up to us. Right. Yeah. We want to get to know them. We want to know the true this, the true that. We want to, but when we see it, we're like, I wish they would just say what they're supposed to say.
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel like when it comes to like any of this, this is why I'm almost, and I'm Catholic. I feel like I feel like I have to put that out as like a statement. Like, please know I'm Catholic for the following reasons, because I'm about to make a comment. But I'm almost, you would think because I'm self-proclaimed Christian, that God references and Jesus references would appeal to me. But I'm kind of off put by them a lot. Like when someone says I'm sick and then like the whole internet goes prayers up. I'm like, come on. I actually prayed about somebody and I'm not a big prayer either. I used to be more when I was younger. You think like a child, walk like a child, whatever. But I actually prayed for somebody, but guess what I didn't do? Didn't message the world to say I prayed for them. Yeah. I get irritated when people are like, I want to give it up to God. And you're like, man, I mean, like, I want it to be authentic. And it's just kind of this bizarre relationship where fans want authenticity, but don't like authenticity. And sometimes they do. And it's such a weird, it's like a human dynamic. And this is where I want to pivot to. is that some people can be jerks and it's cool. Yeah. Some people can be nice and they're assholes. Like they can't do anything right and they're just nice the whole time. What makes me think about this is Tom Brady.
Yes.
Tom Brady.
Thank you.
Walks off the field on Monday night after a loss. Does not shake hands with Jared Goff.
Jared Goff second time this year.
Yes, and both times losses. Both times players that he's played in a Super Bowl, by the way. So you want to tell me, what does he always say? Oh, I didn't know these guys that well. First is that he never has a problem shaking hands when he wins.
Listen, not every quarterback knows, but it's an expectation these guys go out there and say good game.
He actually does know them. He's played them in Super Bowls.
They make you do it in Little League. If y'all played Little League, they make you do that after a game. You walk in a line, you shake hands with the team, you say good game.
Because
at least where I'm from, that's what you do.
Yeah, and you should, because that is a denotion or the demarcation line that this was a contest. And now the contest is over, right? It's like the contest. That's what's great about contests. Things that are not rigged. It's like a limited. Someone told me that boxing was the perfect sport. And I like this. I thought it was a wonderful thing. Yeah. And they said, what you have is a very defined set of rules of what is allowed and not allowed. You have a referee who is monitoring all of it, and then you match two people of equal capabilities together. So so it's not like an NFL team playing a high school football team. You know, two guys in the same weight class, similar records, that type or whatever. But what I think about this, it's a contest based on equality, right? And with a sport, like anything that's a sport, you think it's like in this confined area, and then you realize, hey, you got the best of me, you got the best. So do you guys tell any thoughts on freaking bitch ass Brady?
Yeah, I think that it's again, we come right back to the double standard. I am so glad that Good Morning Football, Kyle Brandt or whatever his name is, called him out straight up.
And what a good segment it was. It was a great segment by him.
Great segment. And he said these words too. And he even brought Cam Newton into the equation. He said, if any other polarizing quarterback did that, they would be just destroyed the following Monday. And Tom Brady has done it multiple times throughout his entire career, especially during losses. He is not a graceful loser. And winners shouldn't be. And that's what Cam Newton said. You know, winners shouldn't want to lose. I mean, you should be a sore loser if you're a winner. But there's an expectation that every quarterback maintains. And if you're not maintaining it, if you're not Tom Brady, you are just you're raked over the coals. And it bugs the ever-living shit out of me because people accept it when it's Peyton Manning. When Peyton Manning did it, when he lost the Super Bowl to Drew Brees, right? Peyton Manning's done it multiple times. Tom Brady's done it multiple times. Cam Newton, you know how many times he's done it? None.
Zero. He shook Peyton Manning's hand afterwards
when he lost the Super Bowl.
In the interview, that was it.
That's what it is. He walked away from the interview because they had it set up. I mean, I'm not going to make excuses for Cam, right? This is not about Cam, but this is about a double standard that exists in the NFL and the media. That if you are a white quarterback that is doing things that is known for being just a great quarterback in this league, you can do things differently. But if you're a black or, you know, just a not even just a matter of race, but if you are just polarizing, they're going to look for every reason to just ruin your career or try to find a way to ruin your career.
It just shows that we pick people that we give passes to and we pick people we don't give passes to. The other thing, though, that's more concerning to me when it comes to Tom Brady is I almost that Bears game, you know, there's a lot of frustration on that team at that point. You know, they weren't as good as they were supposed to be. There, you know, and he had an embarrassing moment. That was the one where he thought there was one more down, right?
Yeah.
All right, so I can see you, and I try to give people some grace on just being human, right? Is that I could see that. To me, the most concerning part about this is that now it's a time where another team kind of went blow for blow with you.
Yeah.
I just feel like this one was like more of a temper tantrum. Yes, you threw a pick. Yes, you were the It's like Tom Brady has probably gotten into a point. And there's different ways of being examples with this. So, for instance, as a teacher, one of the things that you have to try to figure out how to give people critique and criticism in a fair, you want to in a positive and way that motivates as well. But when no one's ever told you that. All right, here, and let me give it a different way. I was in grad school, and school came easy to me for a long time, right? Is that anytime I wasn't doing good in school, it was very clear it's because I wasn't trying, right? And I could always I could be like, well, I didn't really work that hard or something. I always could tell myself that. When I got to grad school, it was the first time that I really put in all of my effort and didn't get the results that I wanted. Right. And you know what? It took a little bit of time and I'm still working at it. And that is how to take criticism, how to take, not even just take criticism, but how to take failure or imperfection. And maybe Brady has just gotten to the point where that's so distant in his mind that maybe he's been surrounded. We heard the stories about him and that trainer, the weird trainer that he would bring. Like, all the things that people have kind of said about Cam, like treating with kid gloves, this and that, and like you don't say, Brady is kind of that. He has now become the guy that doesn't know how to lose. He doesn't know how to take criticism. He doesn't know how. So, kind of a bizarre turn and really an ungracious way to finish what has been a very glamorous and wonderful career.
Yeah.
Right.
Not a good look.
Yeah, I think he's definitely going out looking much less graceful and much more like a dick. A whiny person that everybody. I started to have respect for him after the Atlanta win and the Super Bowl. I started to respect him more and more. After this year, I'm going back to the same thing. Whiny baby, Tom Brady. That's what I've had. My opinion was before. He doesn't accept that he's not good or he's not winning a game. And so everybody else is at fault.
He doesn't know how to deal with hardship at this point.
No.
And the other thing too is that and to secretly say this, I didn't dislike Brady. I had one reason to dislike Brady and the Patriots, and one reason only.
Because he beat us in the Super Bowl.
Yes, that and the cheating. Like, so I said they beat us because we're cheaters. Like, I always held that, that thing. But other than that, I always knew that my dislike for them was only because of that.
Yeah.
Like, only. So I had gotten to the point where I kind of have always been Brady over Manning type guy. Like, no, he's not the offensive coordinator on the field, but he gets it done more than anybody, this and that. And now is that even, like, he's just pushing people away. The things that people say Cam does, he's doing right in front of us. It's crazy. All right, 252-228-5098.
Hey guys, it's Jason calling from Colorado. First off, I want to give a shout out to Mike. I'm really glad that he heard my impression, and I just want to let you know, man, that whenever you're giving your Supreme Leader intro, I'm sitting in my car singing it out to Supreme Leader. So, anyway, also I gotta say I owe Justin Burris an apology because earlier in the season, I think I was too harsh and emotional when he missed that fumble in the backfield, and I was ready to. That in conjunction with a couple other plays was just enough to make me really down on him. But he played like an all-star today, and it really shows how bad Trey Boston is. I think that we really need to upgrade at safety, potentially in the draft. And with Teddy hurt, I was kind of wondering, I think this is pure conspiracy theory here, but journey with me. When you ask people what's the best way to develop a quarterback, typically they'll say, you spend a draft pick on somebody that you have a lot of confidence in, and then you draft them, you bring them in, you let them sit and learn behind a competent starter to learn the ropes, and then you let them take the reins once they've had a year, maybe even more, to develop their skills. I think the chief example, obviously, Pat Mahomes. He's a transcendent talent, but there are plenty of examples of this being true. And but my theory is that maybe Matt Rule, because you know that P.J. Walker played for him, and you know that they evaluated him. They said that he had by far the best arm on the team. And so what if they knew that P.J. Walker was out there and they saw an opportunity to set up that kind of a situation in Carolina where maybe P.J. Walker is their guy, and they've been, having him learn behind Teddy Bridgewater. And I'm not going to lie, I think Teddy Bridgewater would be a great quarterback to learn behind, kind of like learning behind Drew Brees. Obviously not the same level of experience, but they're very competent. So I want to know what your thoughts are about my conspiracy theory. And I just got to ice up some of our fans and our fan base that come out after we pitch a shutout and say we got to fire Phil Snow. I just can't get my mind around that. It looks like Robbie Anderson is starting to regress in the offense. It seems like he's not getting the clearance and his separation in his routes, and so he's not open. He's not getting the ball thrown to him as much. I don't think he's as capable of making spectacular catches as the other two.
Oh, boy, that was unnecessary at the end.
Yeah.
All right. Conspiracy theory thoughts. I think that having Teddy here could have been a way to groom a quarterback, period. Yeah. Particularly if you were to draft one next year. I think the strange part about, and if these guys are really playing chess while we're playing checkers, and they were thinking about this down the road as Teddy being a bridge, we're going to have a tough year, we might land a quarterback that we want. They were not forecasting how many shitty teams there are in the NFL. And this is a quarterback. This draft has a bunch of quarterbacks that people are chubbing over all day long. Yeah. And we've had these in the past. We had, so I'm not going to get blown away. And the other reason I'm not really blown away by the draft, like if you don't get your quarterback at number 1 or number 2, like I don't like the whole, like, we got to draft him. I've seen too many quarterbacks in deep quarterback drafts be shitty, just regular dudes. They look great in college. And you don't never know. Joe Burrow's gone now. Boom. Oh my goodness. So like I don't know about the conspiracy to get PJ in there, but obviously PJ's been in the league a little bit. Like he was with the Colts, then he had some success in the XFL. He knows Rule. And he looks like he's got a little juice to him. I don't know. I'd just be interested to see. PJ, I think, is going to need. The only way he's going to be a guy that the Carolina Panthers really give a true opportunity to this year or maybe even next year is if injury creates the opportunity.
Yeah.
The other thing is, what do y'all? I don't like all this Robbie Anderson slander that's going on.
I mean, to be fair, Tony. Like he had a great beginning of the year, right? But what has he done since?
Well, okay. I obviously the numbers are not the beginning. The success in the beginning was so much voluminous that it creates. I mean,
it was good.
He was putting up 100 points a game, about 100 yards a game for like 4 games straight. He's like 10 catches, 100 yards, 10 catches, 100 yards, 14 catches.
But you got to remember what the defense was expecting. Right?
I wonder if they were thinking it was going to be DJ early.
I guarantee you that's what they thought. And guess who they had as their number 2 wide receiver on their defense? I mean, that they were going to be covering with their number 2 corner. It was Robbie Anderson, right? And the problem is Robbie Anderson is a fantastic number 2, but now that he's transitioned to that number 1 role, at least in the eyes of the defense, he has been blanketed. He has not been able to be dynamic. Like, and the benefit that to be fair, he hasn't been targeted a tremendous amount. but he's also had some drops. He's had an opportunity to catch some balls and he hasn't done it. Right. I'd have to go back and look at all the plays and all the 22, film and everything and see where his separation looks like and everything like that. But to see if he's just been open and not being passed the ball. But from everything I've seen, he just hasn't been available to catch the ball.
Yep. I want to highlight this comment in the chat. Says elusive proximity says we're giving Robbie too many screenplays. Those need to be DJ and Curtis touches. Those guys are suited for kind of yards after the open, making guys miss, breaking tackles.
Robbie was too.
He is. He can. I think one of the regressions with Robbie is that we have limited him to being a possession receiver only. Like he runs the same routes, that drag route across the middle, the Norv Turner route is what I call it, and it's this drag route where they're running right underneath the linebackers, and it's trying to open up. So it's like now all of his catches are only going to be for 5 yards, and if you know, like all teams do, that there's not really a downfield threat when it comes to Teddy, you can kind of man up on that. So I mean I understand he has I wouldn't say he's regressed. He's just not getting the ball as much. Now, what happens? Teddy Bridgewater comes back. He might get 10 catches next week.
It's very true. And, the thing is, Robbie Anderson is a great wide receiver, and I love having him on the team. I'd love to keep him, but of the 3 that we have, we can only keep 2. He's going to be the one I cut, just personally.
Well, not next year, the year after.
No. If we have to make a choice next year, I'm keeping Samuel and DJ Moore. Just me personally.
Samuel might be turning into a superstar this year. Finally,
who?
Curtis Samuel. He's
be
winning me back over, guys. He broke my heart. He broke my heart for so long. I asked him. He reminds me of this girl, Catherine Dale. I was in love with her from the first moment I saw her. When I walked in that 6th grade classroom, if I didn't love my wife as much as I would, she can come up to me right now and I would go with her. That's how much I love this woman. And I asked her out several times and never got a yes. Right? And what was I talking about? I don't even know what I was talking about. Who's told me? Oh, Curtis Samuel. Curtis Samuel is my Catherine Dale. Because I was so in love with him when he first came into this team. And he said no. He said, no, I'm going to have a heart problem. No, I'm going to have a hamstring problem. No, I won't go to the movies with you because Ron Rivera is my dad. Now, it's like Catherine Dale showing up at my door trying to get me to go on a date. I'm married. Right. I'm married to this Robbie Anderson guy now.
And that's kind of my thing is I feel like Robbie Anderson is a fine wide receiver. But like CK was saying, the last few games, they've noticed that he's been the number 1 target. They've been doubling him. He hasn't been producing. A number 1 guy produces whenever you're double teamed. That's all there is to it. If you want to be a number 1 wide receiver, whenever you're double teamed, you produce. And here's my thing is DJ Moore is still producing at the same rate he has been all year long. Now surpassing Robbie Anderson in yards and touchdowns, obviously. And Curtis Samuel, while he doesn't have as many yards as Anderson, or he has more touchdowns, and he's more versatile. So of those 3, I'm taking Samuel and DJ Moore. I like Anderson, but if I had to pick 2 right now, it's Samuel and DJ Moore.
Well, you got to think about our offense at the same time, right? Robbie Anderson has been good after the catch, but he has not been nearly as elusive as you see DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel is.
Because he's not built that way. He's actually.
But here's my point: is if we're keeping Teddy Bridgewater, the 2 most valuable wide receivers on the team are going to be the yards after the catch guys.
Yeah, that's the truth.
That's just the reality of what we're dealing with right now.
100%.
I think that y'all got to temper some of the disappointment, Robbie, like coming down to earth. Not y'all, and it's not even y'all.
I'm not disappointed with him.
It's more like an abstract, y'all. It's like an abstract, not even to our caller. Is that Robbie is an undrafted player who balls, right? He's a baller.
You want to know what Robbie Anderson reminds me of, and this is a bad comparison because it's two different position groups. It's what we saw out of Kyle Allen within the first 8 games of his season last year, where he was taking us to a 6-2 season. We were doing well. We were in a good position. And then all of a sudden, nothing, right? Robbie Anderson won us over early on, but he has been a disappointment. I mean, the reason I'm saying a disappointment is because we had our expectations of him here. He was here, and he's back down to what our expectation was. And now it's disappointing because we saw him up here.
Yeah.
You know,
are
but he's
absolutely right.
He's
I
living
gotta
up to
say,
what we
that
thought he
might
would
be
be.
the meanest thing you could ever say to someone.
No, you're absolutely right, CK. 100% right. That's exactly a great way to put the Robbie Anderson thing. You know who else it is? Teddy Bridgewater. it's a great way to put Teddy Bridgewater too. Just saying.
You know that might
Let's compare
CK. That
stats if
might
you
be
want to
the
at me after the
meanest
show.
thing I've ever heard someone say about somebody. You remind me of Kyle Allen.
Hey,
that's a
you know
mean
what?
thing to say to somebody. That'd be like, hey,
It
my
is what I mean
uncle-
to say to somebody,
your
but if it's
uncle
the
reminds
truth,
me
it's
of
the
Ray
truth,
Caruth.
You know,
It's not from the perspective of you remind me of Kyle Allen because you're a bad wide receiver, but rather you exceeded expectations early,
right?
And then you went back down to what we should have expected from you from the get-go, and now we're disappointed because you were as advertised from the beginning, right? And so, I mean, we weren't living up to that same level we had already convinced ourselves that he is at. And everybody in the NFL had convinced that he was at, and now he's back down to the level that is, oh, this is Robbie Anderson. He's a wide receiver. He's a good wide receiver in the NFL, but he's not like an elite level wide receiver.
I think Robbie Anderson's was a great number 2.
I agree.
Like a great number 2.
That's
to
what
have.
I was saying. Yeah,
and that is the thing is that he came in, was asked to be almost a number 1 because our number 1 is, we don't know if he's a number 1. Is he Steve Smith Senior, or is he
ended up being number 1 because Matt Rule came in and wanted to take one of his proteges and put him in there and say, "Look what I can do."
Well, he was smart though. I do think it was smart in this.
They're good, but they're not leaders. And
it would have been ridiculous to go into the season saying we believe that we could be an adequate offense with DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been what a Panther fan who has a hard-on for all of these players would have done. But it's an unrealistic kind of expectation, too. What if someone gets hurt? What if Curtis Samuel doesn't continue to develop as he is? The one thing that is very exciting about all of this is not only has Curtis Samuel, we were so excited about him in the beginning. The couple of things that are great about Curtis Samuel is the production. Despite limited reps throughout his career, man, you get the ball in his hands, he's in the fucking end zone. And one year he had like a touchdown on every 10 touches or something.
Yeah,
like
it was absolutely that. But to be fair, he got hurt that season and he had very limited touches. But if you go back and watch the highlights of those touchdowns, like they should not have been touchdowns.
Right.
Like
right.
he had that one that was that really weak dive, but like he had incredible, like just he ran all around folks, but then he dove into the end zone and it made it look like he was just like, did he not know how to jump? Like, but no, Curtis Samuel has been electric from day one. It's just he hasn't.
And then now though, his production, even this year, is a story of production more than anything. It's not a volume perspective as much as Curtis Samuel has been insanely good.
Yeah.
He on third down. He has been our go-to guy, which kind of has the clutch gene, right? Is that I don't get the ball all the time, but when you need me to get it, you can count on me. That's a big deal. He's scored several touchdowns already this season.
Yep,
and then they highlighted the other stat that he has like the highest catch percentage in the NFL. So he does produce.
No, that was DJ Moore, I think.
I think he has an 85% catch rate, and
he's got one of the he's got the highest.
It's insane
in on the team as far as catch percentage.
Well, Curtis Samuel. It's funny because while I like the character the player,
you've been in your other podcast too much.
What? Yeah, character. Yeah, while I like the player, I I feel like that if you his production and his value is solely based on touchdown production. I think that if Curtis Samuel, I think he has like 6 or 7 touchdowns this year. I think with rushing in and passing
Bro,
line, which
third
don't get me wrong.
downs.
Don't get me wrong.
I think you're right,
And
CK. I think it's third down, bro. The touchdowns have only come of late.
Okay? Which makes him clutch and makes me want to keep him because he's that guy. But if you take that away, his stats are very, very minuscule in the league. However, he is clutch. He has the clutch gene.
You've got to look at it from the position that he's in, though. He is slot receiver. He's not even 1 or 2.
Exactly.
If you gave him the
have 1,400 yards,
the reality is that what he does with his opportunities is like, yes, you want to talk about production, sure, but opportunity has not been there. His production absolutely has been, and it's been there for a long time. You know, since he's been drafted, his production has been there.
Right.
It's just his opportunity has not gotten to it today. I mean, this year he's getting his best opportunity. And until they and I think they're starting to realize it because you're starting to see them work him in a little more. If Christian McCaffrey was out there, I think Curtis Samuel would be getting a lot more looks in the wide receiver aspect of things. Because right now they're using Curtis Samuel almost like Christian McCaffrey in the backfield from time to time.
All right, let's keep pushing through with these calls. 252-228-5098.
But yeah, I think that, like I was saying, I think Curtis Samuel and DJ Moore are better able to make contested catches. They're better able to get separation in tight coverage. And I think that that's showing with PJ Walker, who actually has the ability to thread the ball into some tight windows and take advantage of their speed and hit the ball in stride. And I've been I've been an apologist for Shaq all season long, and I'm starting to feel validated by it because what I'm starting to see from him is that he has become kind of like a Thomas Davis in, I think, both ability, and he's starting to take on that leadership role. But he also has some Luke Kuechly sprinkles on there in that he's able to diagnose and call out plays and move people into the right position. And I think that's fantastic. I mean, I don't see why people are even considering that he's not worth the money that we paid him. I'm Team Shaq. I think that he's doing great things, and I'm looking forward to seeing him take a role as a leader on the defense. And I just noticed that one of the things that stood out to me about this game was how well some of the marginal players on our team really played. Like Stanley Thomas Oliver. Hadn't heard his name all season, but he showed up in, I think he had the highest PFF grade of all of our defensive backfield this game. Corn Elder, F.A. Obata, Jermaine Carter. I think that all of these guys who are kind of on the cusp are really benefiting from the coaching this season. Excuse me. My hypothesis about that is that good coaching helps players that are on the margin a lot more than it helps superstars. I think that you can take transcendent players and they're going to be like Khalil Mack, for example. He's successful everywhere he's been. Donkey Kong Sue, he's been successful everywhere he's been. And, I don't think that, at least it shows that our coaches are benefit, that they're really starting to play up. And that's what I think is a lot more valuable. I think you're a lot more likely to win with a team that plays with a chip on their shoulder than you are to win with a team of superstars who expect to win. They've got that hunger. They've got that eye of the tiger, as it were. And I don't know. I didn't really have a chance to review PJ's second pick, but to me, it kind of felt like he might have been trying to just get rid of the ball by throwing it out the back of the end zone. And I think he was just really surprised that
here is, look, he's got 10 seconds left.
That last one cut off right at the right time, but I just wanted to, say thanks for letting me get my thoughts out there. Keep pounding. Wow.
I like it first. He is the one, and this was, who was it? It's from Colorado. This call's from Colorado. This is actually the one caller that has kept me from diving off the cliff with Shaq. Yeah. And one of the things that he had brought up several months ago, I feel like at this point, was we could have signed James Bradbury or we could have signed Shaq. That's one way of looking at it. But it's also like, what else is in the free agent market? How are you going to replace who's easier to replace at this point? You know, and it just felt like Shaq, you know, was supposed to could mean more to this defense. I thought, though, with Shaq, I think what we saw this past week is I agree with all of those points. I agree with, like, stepping in a leadership role.
Yeah.
The sprinkling of Luke Kuechly is laying it on a little thick, in my opinion. Yeah. But here, I mean, he did call out that we heard the story about him calling out this play, and the other guys didn't do it 2 weeks ago, and that's what ended up. So we've heard that he is stepping into a more vocal leadership role. I mean, you see it. He's giving out game balls. He was mic'd up this past week. He's in the coach's ear. You know, I think the one thing, though, that I've seen, too, that's important is something that CK turned me on to, and I have a little different perspective on it than CK, but you're the kind of the one that put me onto this, is that the guys around Shaq, his games can be elevated by the people around him. Like, yeah. And I feel like us not seeing Tahir Whitehead, he played better. And I don't think it was because he was doing much different. It was just something's different. And I don't know. So
something different, yeah.
Yeah. And so the Shaq Thompson validation, I like that on one hand, is that he needs to get better. I think you can tell he's getting slower. That's my one thing I'm worried about. But the coaching, he played professional baseball.
Is this his 6th year, though?
He was
5th year.
Originally drafted by like the Reds, dude, or something. He was a baseball. Really? He's 20. He's only 26.
This is his 7th year, I think. This is his
7th year, and he's 26. Wow. Okay.
Because we exercised the 5th year option, and then he got signed to a contract not this year, but last year. And last year was his first year in that new contract, and this is the 2nd year of the new contract. So he had 5 years under. Yeah.
So 5th year option, that means he was a 1st round pick?
Yes.
Yes, he was. He was our 25th pick. And Shaq Thompson was drafted in 2015. He is 26.
He was drafted in
all right, so he's 26. He's about to turn 27 now. He was
still pretty
26,
young.
217 days.
Still very young.
You know, he played professional baseball. He was drafted by like the Reds or something. He went 1 for 36 in the minor leagues.
Yeah, but you want to talk about the NBA having every team get in the playoffs. That's the way the MLB is. Every player gets drafted at some point. Oh, yes, it's insane.
Because you go into the minor leagues, 1 for 36. They asked him why he couldn't play in the major leagues. He said, "I couldn't hit a curve." If you play baseball, you know exactly what that means. He's like this. It's like, sorry, just can't do it.
That was my kryptonite right there. It was a curveball.
252-228-5098.
Hey, yo.
Oh, nice. Way to wake us up.
I told y'all.
What's up,
I told y'all Shaq Thompson coming in that locker room was going to do something. I told you. He whipped out his tallywhacker and started dick smacking motherfuckers around. And look at that defense.
Damn.
Fucking, they took out the fucking whitehead fucking dude. Defense was raw. I've been giving Phil Snow a pass this whole year. I think I might have to take that pass back because, like, why the fuck you wait? Like, you see what happens when you take Whitehead out. Why is it this long if we take him out and they do good? Like, y'all think he should get some criticism for keeping Whitehead in that long?
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like,
when you frame it like that, fuck? Right?
Yeah.
I saw a meme today, too, about that game. Like, P.J. Walker said, it's official, P.J. Walker belongs in the NFL. And it's also official that Matt Patricia belongs in the XFL, which I thought was pretty funny. I hope we ride with PJ the rest of the way. I want to see what he got. Fuck Whitehead. And I just want to say Tallywhacker one more time because it makes me laugh.
Tallywhacker.
Great call, man. Great call. Keep powering through.
Yo, this is Kevin again from Charleston.
What's up,
I
Kevin?
wanted to call again because I have a question
Tallywhacker.
I'm thinking about. Right?
Chucktown.
The
What's
last
up?
good tight end we had was Greg Olson, who we had to trade a third-round pick to get to come to Carolina. So my question is, y'all, if we had to trade our third-round pick for a tight end, who would you trade for this offseason?
O.J. Howard.
That's my question.
Whoa.
Tallywhacker, out.
2. I've got 2.
First of all, I love how he
Howard
closed his
or-
call, Tallywhacker out. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Because I called him Tallywhacker too. Yeah. Okay. I like the O.J. Howard. Love the O.J. Howard.
Joku. Or David Joku, whatever his name is those are my 2 guys. Those are the guys I think are the future of the tight end.
I still want to get Jake Butt here.
Jake Butt, yeah.
He is from Denver. He has dealt with a bazillion injuries and he sucks. But I still think every time that if he came and scored a touchdown in Carolina and he went and Lambo leaped into the back, we could call it the butthole.
I like that. I like that.
Old C3 joke there.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Nick from up here in Mass.
All right, here's Nick from Mass.
So, saw it was an awesome game, to say the least. Defense definitely deserves a lot of credit. I think if it wasn't for the defense being as good as they were, as well as Detroit being kind of as terrible as they are, could have gone a lot differently. But the big thing is, the big reason why I'm calling you guys is because I wanted to compare PJ to Teddy a little bit. Okay.
Oh, don't.
So I looked at stats from the XFL for PJ, and I looked at the 2020 stats for Teddy. Okay, just to kind of get a reference. Got to remember, Teddy played twice as many games as PJ did in the XFL. There was only 5 games in the XFL. PJ had a slightly lower completion percentage. He had 65%, whereas Teddy had 72.1. But when you look at all the yards that they both got, it actually equals out. PJ seems to have gone for the longer passes compared to Teddy's dink and dunk. So PJ for 99 yards in the entire season, whereas Teddy has rushed for 119 this season. So PJ has actually rushed a lot more, and his average is actually 4.1 yards per carry. Also, when you look at the average yards per game, Teddy this year has averaged 255 per game. Whereas just in the very first game that PJ played, he got 273 yards. So very first time playing with everybody that he's had, and he's shown that he can put up more yards than Teddy on average. Teddy also has had the best receiving core in the league. I mean, let's face it, our running backs have also been very reliable. Even with Christian McCaffrey out, Mike Davis has stepped up. I mean, before this game, PJ had only come on the field in bad situations. I'm pretty sure the first time it was like a third down scenario. And then there was another time when he came in where Teddy got banged up pretty good. But would love to hear what you guys think. Thanks for everything that you do, and I hope everybody has a happy, safe, and COVID-free Thanksgiving, all right? Keep on the guys.
What a prepared call, man. Stat Daddy. That's like your wet dream of a call.
What is that caller's name, sir? Thank you very much for preaching the word. Yes, awesome. Everything you said, I absolutely agree with. Fantastic. Thank you so much for putting that out there. You're right.
One big difference, though. One big difference, though.
What's that?
One of these stats happened in the NFL, and the other set of these stats happened in the XFL.
That is a fair point.
And they had different rules. Like they could run before they go bizarre.
It still
rules.
works out, and it still works out if you did this. If you average Teddy down to one game in the NFL and hit against PJ Walker's one game in the NFL, it still averages out pretty damn close with PJ Walker giving you a lot more options than Teddy has.
It's not going to happen.
So,
it's a
great
waste.
call.
It's a waste
Great
of
call.
mental exercise. So no offense, Nick. Not a waste of your exercise. I'm glad you did it because I love calls that have style and preparation.
Mm-hmm.
But I simply believe I don't know what could have PJ have really done to. I don't know if he could have done anything to win the job. Like what would
he got those? If he didn't throw those 2 interceptions and those were actual touchdowns, I think it's a lot harder for anybody to argue that Teddy Bridgewater is the starting quarterback of this team.
I think it's just one less. I think if he throws one less interception,
I
one
agree with
interception
that.
is okay.
One
I think
less
if he
is
throws one less interception,
but if he had a perfect
then Matt
game,
Rule's trying to
throwing
figure out what's
2
going on.
touchdowns would have been a perfect game, right?
Yeah.
Like throwing those 2 touchdowns would have been a perfect game.
Mm-hmm. So I think just one of those interceptions changes the game.
I'm still interested, and this is what I like. So Nick, what a great call! Way to go, Nick. What I'm interested in seeing is there any possible world where something happens where the coaching staff considers benching Teddy?
No,
like if he comes out right, I kind of think it's injury
only.
only. That's what I think too. All right, let's keep pounding.
Yo, this is Kevin from Charleston again for my third call.
Town.
I think he just followed me on Twitter
I watch it
too,
Tuesday
by the way.
and Sundays all the time on the YouTube shit.
Yeah,
I'm also very, very fucking drunk. I've had
my man, right
beers,
there.
a bottle of wine, and I topped it off with a Choco Taco fucking ice cream.
Yeah, there you go.
But never mind that.
Deep dive in
My
the
question to you, fellas,
gas station ice cream
and all of
chest.
Panther Nation, knowing what you know now, starting week 1, if you had your choice to have Cam Newton as your starting quarterback or Luke Kuechly as your
This is
starting
not even a question.
linebacker, who would you choose for 1 year?
What was the
The
second
choice
one?
is yours.
Luke Kuechly.
Which one? And always remember, keep counting.
That's a great question.
Or
It's a
don't.
mean question.
Keep
It's a
pounding.
mean question.
I'm drunk. I'm eating Choco Taco.
Eat that Choco Taco. Enjoy
Eat
it.
that Choco Taco. It's a great question. Yeah.
The question is,
gosh.
if you could have for 1 year on this team, you could only have one of the two. Would it be Cam Newton?
That's
or
a
Luke
really
Kuechly?
good question because this tells you who you value more as far as what we need right now. And honestly, this is going to be unpopular. I think it's Luke.
Well, okay. Here's my thing: is while I get what you're saying, CK, I don't think it tells you exactly who you value more, because I would say Cam, simply because I feel like our defense has played well enough that if we could have that extra 4 points, that extra touchdown, that extra not interception at the end of the game, we'd be a lot better. Whereas Luke would be a whole lot better for the defense. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I can look at a lot more games where Teddy Bridgewater not coming through in the end ended up losing the game for us more than the defense not coming through in the end.
But I think that same mentality can be used when you look at the defense, like our games that we have lost, especially the bad ones.
It may be pretty close.
Look at what we were with a
right
competent
middle
linebacker in this past game.
But here's the thing, okay? I know that we've lost 2 games at the end of the game where Teddy Bridgewater's thrown an interception on a drive where he could have scored a touchdown and won. Would Luke Kuechly being a linebacker have changed more than 2 games to the point where we would have won? Is my question. That's the only issue I have. Now, don't get me wrong. I love Luke Kuechly. His jersey's retired right over there on my wall. But I just feel like, honestly, if I have to weigh it out, I feel like Cam Newton would have a bigger impact on this team this year than Luke Kuechly would. Not saying that Cam Newton's, because I think Luke Kuechly is a better linebacker than Cam Newton was quarterback. I love
Everybody
Cam Newton.
in the chat room says
I think Luke
Kuechly.
Kuechly's a better linebacker than Cam Newton was quarterback. You know,
Everybody
but in this
says-
situation,
But from the
you know,
Okay, everybody in the chat room saying Luke.
and I get that. I get that because, like I said, Luke is a better linebacker than Cam was quarterback. But I feel like a better quarterback would do us better this year.
I need a
than
cheat code on this question.
All-star linebacker.
The
I need a
problem
cheat code on
is
this
I get what you're saying, but at the same time, we've been in those situations with Cam, and he's thrown those exact.
Oh
right.
yeah,
That's true, and that's
You
why
know?
I very well could be wrong. I very well
and
could
there's
be
a
wrong.
good
There's
chance that he would have put up some. the drop off between Cam, not 2015 Cam, but Cam in the years that
every
isn't
other time, yeah.
right, or since 2015 to Teddy is less steep than the drop off from Luke to tired
That's
Whitehead.
a good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah. And like you said, you
Well, that's a
think
great
that
question.
Luke is a better linebacker than Cam was a quarterback in a way. Here's where I need a cheat code with this question. I need to know what the outcome is.
Fair enough.
I understand.
do.
Yeah.
Like, for me
I
to
get
make
that.
my
No,
decision.
you're right. Yeah.
And the reason I mean this is that if Cam came back and played fantastic, I would be very happy, right? But then we would also be in this place where we like, do we got to re-sign him? Are we going to re-sign him? Are we going to be the team that doesn't re-sign the guy that was great? So if Cam comes back and he's bad, and if Cam comes back and he's great, are two scenarios. But for me, I'm more interested in the legacy of Luke in this case. And what I mean by that, if I knew that Luke was going to come back and have one healthy, great season, that would mean more than anything. I would say yes. But I don't like looking. I did not enjoy watching Luke. I enjoyed watching Luke be less Luke, or disliked him being less Luke, than I disliked seeing Cam struggle with injury. I felt like we were watching Luke Kuechly. I want to just remember Luke Kuechly as the best linebacker I've ever seen.
I understand that.
I agree.
I get what you're saying on that front.
And if him coming back and having one last hurrah and it works would do that, then I say him all day. But if we had to watch a Luke Kuechly that struggled with injury, that we were worried every time he got hit in the head, he was less decisive. He was not playing as fast. And yes, there was other things on the defense that we don't know if it was him. But I promise you, the Luke we saw last year was not the Luke we are used to seeing. And we were seeing the signs of it. And people who told me it was the defense around him, we know I was right on this because he retired.
And he even said to it, to that point that it was just time. He knew that he felt that it was the end for him.
I do wish he could have one on top season and finish. If he would have gone out on top, as in, like, I don't think he went out on the bottom. He just didn't have a great season, and he was on a shitty team. If he could have had a great season and on a great team, he arguably would be the best linebacker I've ever seen play.
I agree. And that's why this question is so hard. And, when it comes down to it, Tony, you're breaking down stats. I've got to ask you, like, if you have the choice, you can have one of these two players. You're going to have a quarterback, and I'm going to take them at their best years, okay? So you can have a quarterback that can throw 50 touchdowns, have 3,500 yards, close to 1,000 yards rushing, or you can have a linebacker who has 125 tackles, 7 sacks, 3 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles.
Yeah.
Like, what do you take?
The
It's
answer is
tough to call either way.
Quarterback every time.
Yeah, but at the time, you got to say quarterback. So that's my only reasoning for that. Now, not to take away from Luke, because I feel like he is.
I agree.
I agree. I think he's the best linebacker I've ever seen.
He's at the top. He's at the top. He's at least been my favorite of this generation. All right, let's keep going.
C3, what's going on? It's your boy Swish. I was the one who called in a few weeks ago. I had the Dante Jackson tape. I told you I was gonna call back. It's been a little minute, but I'm back. All right. So, and look, I gotta apologize to y'all now because this might be 2 calls because I got 2 things to talk about. I don't know how long it's gonna run. Those are some things I heard on last week's show. I just wanted to, get my point of view on. The first one is the wide receiver thing. Who do we keep? We can keep 2. Who do we keep? Robbie, Curtis, or DJ? Look, in my opinion, I think it's super easy. I don't even think it's worth thinking about it. I think we keep Curtis and DJ. You gotta let Robbie, not let him go, but just let him play out his contract. You re-up Curtis, and then you figure out what to do. You let Robbie play his 2 years, and then you figure out what to do with DJ. But I think the
the wrench in everybody's thinking is Curtis Samuel. Like, what do you do? Because we got to re-sign him this year. Like, it's easy. Just re-sign him. He's our best playmaker. He's our best playmaker. Like, literally. DJ might be our best receiver,
I like
but
this
Curtis
call.
is our best playmaker. Yo, all right. It's always like, the story with Curtis is always more with less, right? He always has to do more with less. Like, they've given DJ every chance to prove he was worth the number one wide receiver being taken in the 2018 draft, right? Over Calvin Ridley. They give him every chance to prove he's worth that. And, I mean, I'm not saying he ain't stepped up to the bill or anything, but, like, I still see Curtis Samuel being the playmaker. Like, it's always more with less. Like, they always he's always like the second or third read. At least this is how it's been. He's a second or third read, and he's the one scoring all the touchdowns. Like, literally, like, how is that? He's a better runner with the football than DJ is. We knew he was working on his hands, but
I love
don't
that.
think
How
any
is
of us
that?
expected his hands to be this good. He's made so many clutch plays for us this year. Look, I'll put it in perspective, right? That Chicago Bears game, there was plays to be had that DJ did not get. He dropped the one in the end zone, and he dropped that, what was it, like a fourth down or whatever, where he tried to one-hand it. That same pass, look, and we know DJ can catch that. We've seen him catch one-handed passes. But that same pass was thrown to Curtis Samuel in the Chiefs game at a clutch moment, and he came down with it. That's all I'm saying. When there's plays to be had, Curtis Samuel makes plays. And this ain't no knock on DJ. I think we keep DJ too. I think Hobby's the one that gotta go. But that's just my thoughts on it. Y'all let me know. I got another call coming in, so yeah.
I got nothing. He said it all. That's exactly what I feel.
Great call. Here, let me see. Here, keep going. Oh, 4 seconds of nothingness. Next, who's next?
Yo. Swiss calling back in.
Way to go, Swiss.
Yo, my other take was, Cody, I gotta agree with you, bro.
No.
I'm there with you, bro. I've been there. We need to let Marty Hurney go. Like,
I can't roll with you on this one, man.
Like, legit, what's the fascination with keeping Marty Hurney around here? Can't do it. Like, what's the play here? Like, keep him around long term. Is it because he knocks the first round out of the park? Yeah, that's a valuable asset. It is, but does he need to be GM to do that? And is he the only guy that can do that? No, he's not the only guy that can do that shit. Like, I don't
One of the
know.
only guys that's been as consistent as he is.
Yeah, he's been more, I guess, fiscally responsible with the contracts this time around, 2.0.
True.
But, I mean, for us, it's just been a bunch of 3-year deals to names. That ultimately hasn't even
a good point.
led to us winning anything. Yeah. Like, ever since that 2017 season we went to the playoffs, every year after that, like, I think we've only won.
And that was Gettleman's
we've only
team,
won
I think.
2 games after the halfway mark these past 3 years, 2018, 2019, 2020. Like, we just won our second game. The other one being the Lions game. I mean, not the Lions game down. That was just the other one being the Saints game. That was Kyle Allen versus Teddy Bridgewater. Come on, yo. Come on. I don't know. I just don't see the fascination with keeping him around. Like, I can't think of any crazy free agency brought us this year. And don't try to give me that Robbie Anderson bullshit, because Robbie Anderson literally said he was going to go wherever Teddy went. And he praised Matt Rule and said he would love to play for him again. So, I don't know. Marty Hurney just really had to not fuck that one up. Like, not piss Robbie off to get him here. I don't know, man. I just look at what we doing. Like, we got a badass owner out here with the most money in the league, willing to do whatever it takes. We got a coach out here who's super progressive and is building the right culture. You can call him a badass too. Willing to do whatever it takes to win. And then Joe Brady is legit a rock star OC, whether y'all want to, like, believe it or not. Like, people in the media do love him. They got Marty Hurney, bro. Like, I don't know. Marty Hurney just doesn't, like, forget Joe Brady for a second. Think about Rule, Hurney, and Pepper. Like, he just doesn't complete that rock star trio for me. I just don't, I don't know. Y'all calling this man a Patsy and a Cup and shit. Like, come on. I don't know.
A lot of good points here. A lot of good points.
Yeah.
I wish Cody was here because he would be going ballistic about how great this call is.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So I'll say this point, and like I said, I've been a defender of Marty Hurney.
I am too.
You know, and it's funny because I think at the beginning of the year we wouldn't have been that way. And what you have to do is you have to look at the accomplishments, and you have to then grade him based on those things. And if you grade him based on his accomplishments, and if you look at any other team GM, like the only thing that like I would say that that other GMs have an advantage on is free agency. Like I can say that Hurney's probably not the greatest free agents, GM in the NFL. But I think that also has a lot to do with where the other GMs are or GMs at.
Exactly.
You know, so you can't.
And too, if we've had money or not, right?